Okay, this is lesson 47, Algebra 1, and we're going to be talking about percentages here. If you open your book to lesson 47, we're talking about percentages less than 100. In the past, we've said f of, or times of equals is. So we said a fraction of a number equals the part, or a decimal of a number equals a part. So we have other ways of writing that. We could say p over 100 times of equals is, or p over 100 equals is over of, p over 100 times base equals percentage, rate times base equals percentage. Okay, you're like, well, what does all this mean? Well, the book uses all these different, and they use the words, and I'm going to tell you what they use, but I'm going to show you another way that's an alternative that I think it's a little bit easier to understand. It makes a little bit more sense. But this might make sense to you, so we're going to learn this as well. The part identified by the word of is often called the base. So that's the base. What do you start with? Right? And the part identified by the word is called a percentage. So if I say 20% of 40 is what number? Well, the what number is a percentage. So if I do 25% of, say, 100, 100's your base, then 25 is going to be my percentage. When we think of percentage, we actually think of percent. So they're calling for the percentage, the number, the part. Okay? And here, again, p over 100 equals is. They just rearrange the numbers. So you see how they divided both sides by of? That's how they got that. And here, they can just call that the base, which is the same thing. They said this is called the base and the percentage. And then they do over here, they're simply called the rate times the base is the percentage. Now, I am okay with these, but I prefer to say, which makes more sense, two ways. Part over whole times the base, okay, or the whole number equals the part. Actually, percentage of the whole is going to give you the part. All right. Another way to say it is part. This was one of the examples. Over whole equals percentage. Whoops, I can't write too well. Percentage over 100. Again, 100. Okay. So part over whole equals percent over 100. That's the simplest way that I can see it being done. So saying that, let's just dive right into the problem. So let's look at example 47.1. They also want you to learn to diagram it and draw these. I'm not as particular about this, and I don't really think you need it. Sometimes you do, but sometimes it's just a waste. It's just wasting time. So if it asks you to do it, you don't have to do it on your homework. You should at least learn it and be familiar with it. Actually do it on your homework, but it won't be on any of your tests. I won't ask you to diagram it. Okay, it says 20% of what number is 15? So 20% of what number is 15? So let's identify our parts here. There's my real percentage, right? So if I use this example, I'm going to write it over here. I'm going to put 20 here over 100 equals of what number is equal. This is times, so I still have this times what number equals 15. Well, this equals or is your part or the percentage, the 20% of the whole number. So that's going to be my part, it's going to be right here. And then I don't know what my base is. This is your base or your whole number. And I don't know what that is, so I'm going to put W in. Now I can do two ways. I can do cross multiplication, and I can do it algebraically. It's easier just to do it cross multiplication, right? So you have 15 times 100 equals 20 WN. And you simply divide both sides by 20. This crosses to 1, 5. And 5 times 15 is 75. So WN is 75. And that is your base or your whole number. And that's a little bit hard to see that. Okay. So now they want us to draw a diagram. Well, before we started with 100%, and what was my whole, my base that I started with? It's always this number right here. This is the part or the percentage or the fraction or the decimal part, okay, of this number. So we said this number, our base, is 75. Then we went to what? We went to, this is the before. This is the before, and this is the after. So we had 20%. Yes? Oh, that wrong. Backwards. We said 15 is 20%. So 80% would be what? 15 from 75 would be 60. And this is the after, because 60 plus 15 has to equal to 75. All right, let's work another one. It said, what percent of 140 is 98? Okay, remember your base is always your whole number. So we say, and I'm going to continue with this part over whole equals percent over 100. So we don't know the percent, so I'm going to call it P. My base is 140. The percentage of the base, or the part, is 98. I simply do cross multiplication. 98 times 100, go up, equals P times 140. And then I simply divide both sides by 140. And I'm going to cheat. We're going to use, I'm not going to do this, I don't have a calculator on me. But if you divide it all out, then you get what percent, or this percent equals 70%. Okay? Now, they want you to draw a diagram. Okay, we started off with 100%. This is the before. And this is the after. So we started off with 100% of what? The base is 140. Then we said 70% is 98. Therefore, 30% has to be what? 42. Because the two of these have to equal up to the 140. And 70% and 30% gives you 100%. That's all you do for diagram. So let's do one more percentage. One more percentage that says 15% 15%, yeah, of 300 is what number? Okay, part over whole equals percent over 100. Well, I know my percent is 15 over 100. What is my base or my whole? Our base and whole mean the same thing. Is this 300? So it's going to go right here. And then my part, or the percentage of, what number goes right here? It's on the other side of equal sign. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to do cross multiplication. So I have 100 times W, N equals 300 times 15. I divide both sides by 100, and I get W, N equals 45. Now, in order to draw a picture or a diagram of this, okay, to draw a diagram, we said it was what, 45? So this is 45. So we started off with 100% before, and we had 300. And then after, we still have 100%, but we've got 15%. 45 is 15%. Therefore, what's left is 85%. And then 45 from 300 is 255. And that's simply all you do to draw your diagram. Okay? Next, let's look at percentages that are greater than 100. And that does happen sometimes. And we're going to draw a diagram. So what number is 160% of 60? So here they worded it kind of backwards. So we're saying this is your equal sign, this is your times. So we still take this part over whole or base equals percentage over 100. Well, I know my percentage is 160. So that's going to go there. What is my part or my base? Do I know my base? Yeah, 160% of that, your base. So your base is 60, but we don't know what number it is. Then we cross multiplication. 100 WN equals 60 times 160. And what I did, I moved this times that to that side, and this times this. That's what cross multiplication is. Then I simply solve for WN. Uh, 36, 6. I get 96. And how you would draw it is this diagram before you had what? You had 100%. Okay? So you had 100% of what's your base? 60. And then after you had 160%, which is 96 is 160%. And that's all you do for that diagram. Let's look at a couple more. We're going to do one that's a little tricky. You have to read each little word, see what it says. So let's turn the page to example 47.5. If 75 is increased by 150%, what is the result? So this one's a little bit tricky because we said we're starting with 100% and the base is 75. If it's increased by 150%, okay, what is the result? Oops. We wanted to know what we got. So we have to really add this plus this. So our part over our whole equals percentage over 100. Yes? So, because this is 150% of that, and we add it together. So basically, we're taking, what's 150% of 75? So we've got part. We don't know what the part is. But our base, you say what number? The base is 75. The percentage is 150 over 100. There's two ways of doing it. You can do it that way to figure out what 150% of that is. So you get 100 WN equals 75 times 150. And then divide both sides by 100. And then 25 goes into there 3 times. 4 goes into there. It doesn't evenly. So you would figure that out. So that would be what? 450 over 4. Okay, would be your what number. Then you would add it to that to get your result. The other way to do it is go straight into saying, okay, I need to know 250% of my base is what number? Then we're going to have 100 WN equals 250 times 75. Divide both sides by 100. And you're going to get what number equals 187.5. And 250%. So you could draw it this way. Is 250%. Or you could just draw one circle and say you started off with 100% of 75, and you ended up with this crazy circle that said 250%, 187 is 250%, and this is the after. Okay. So you had to be careful because it says 75 is increased by 150%. What's the result? So it's 150% plus the 100%, so it's really 250% of 75 is what number? That one's a little tricky because this word right here, increased. So you had 75 at 100%, add it to 150% of 75, gave you 250%, which gave you 187.5. Okay? So let's look at 47.6. Is what percentage of 90? What percentage of 90 is 306? Okay, my percentage, I don't know what percentage. What is my base? There's your base, 90, and what's the part of it, or the result, is 306. And you do cross multiplication, so you have 306 times 100 equals 90 times WP, divide both sides. Divide both sides by 90, and you get what percentage equals 340%. And that's your answer. So try the practice problems. There is no code on this lesson. Okay?